What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Typhoon Khanun crossed by northern Taiwan on Thursday, prompting sea and land typhoon warnings. Rick Lauer was in the northern port city of Keelung.
Right now, Typhoon Khanun is a few hundred kilometers from here, and it's expected to slowly skirt past Taiwan's north coast. It's already brought gusts of 50 kilometers an hour, 6-meter high waves, and heavy rain to this part of Taiwan. Cities in northern Taiwan, including the capital Taipei, are shutting down schools and workplaces. Dozens of flights have been cancelled and all ferry services across the country have been suspended. Hundreds of soldiers are on standby to deal with flooding and storm damage. Typhoon Khanun already caused deaths and left hundreds of thousands of people without power when it hit nearby Okinawa. Northern Taiwan is now battening down the hatches. Authorities hope these precautions can prevent damage. Howard Zhang and Rick Lowett in Keelung, northern Taiwan for TaiwanPlus.
As the wind and rain of the typhoon lashed Taiwan, parts of the country's north had what's known as a Typhoon Day. As Pingtung reports, schools, government offices, and some restaurants closed for the day.
As Typhoon Khanun moves closer to northern Taiwan, people in the country's capital, Taipei, are stocking up with toilet paper, instant noodles, and vegetables. The typhoon is currently brushing by Taiwan with rains and high winds. Authorities have called for a Typhoon Day, closing schools and government offices in northern parts of Taiwan, including Taipei, New Taipei City, Keelung, and Yilan County. Some private sector businesses, such as banks and restaurants, have also closed for the day. Taiwan usually sees 3 or 4 typhoons a year, but since 2010, the number making landfall has fallen to an average of 2.5. But 2019 was the last time a tropical storm made landfall in Taiwan. President Tsai visited the Central Disaster Response Center in New Taipei and thanked the team for monitoring the storm.
我们现在碰到的是年度大潮的期间啊，那沿海低洼地区呢，要留意海水倒灌以及积淹水，危险的场所和活动不要去，例如危险的河床、登山、溯溪、观浪、戏水、钓鱼都不要去。
There are very few people on Taipei streets, with most going out to grab supplies before the storm.
我们打算坐捷运到处晃一晃吧，不然很多店家也没有开。对啊，因为台风嘛，有可能最后去桃园吧，桃园没放。
趁风还没有很大的时候，先来带小朋友来这边玩一下。
And in keeping with the Taiwanese Typhoon Day tradition, karaoke shops are open and fully booked, as many like to pass the storm safe indoors with friends. The Central Weather Bureau expects the storm to last for another 24 hours, and people here in Taipei are doing the best they can to make sure they have enough goods to last through the entire typhoon. Scott Huang and Bing Wang in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
It's been 1 year since then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. It was a trip that prompted China to launch some of its largest military drills ever around the country. TaiwanPlus reporter Jeremy Olivier looks back on the visit and the impact it had.
It was hailed as a historic event. 1 year ago, then U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi came to Taiwan for a brief visit. She was the first House Speaker to do so in over 2 decades. Pelosi framed her trip as a show of U.S. support for Taiwan. But behind the scenes, many officials had worries about China's reaction, including some within Pelosi's own party. Before her trip, President Joe Biden voiced some of those concerns to the media.
The military thinks it's not a good idea right now, but I don't know what the status of it is.
Despite the risks, Pelosi's trip went ahead as planned. During her stay, she met with President Tsai Ing-wen and other officials. The response on the ground in Taiwan was mixed. Some came out to show their support, while pro-China groups held their own protests. Others were not so won over by Pelosi's presence, feeling that Taiwan was being used more as a prop in a spat between 2 superpowers.
没有什么实质的帮助，对啊，那最终我们也只是沦为别人的棋子而已，对吧？那其实台湾要走出自己的路线很困难，哎呀，我们变得不伦不类啊，哎呀。
Pelosi repeatedly said her trip did not represent a change in U.S.-Taiwan policy.
We have said from the start that our representation here is not about changing the status quo here in Asia, changing status quo in Taiwan.
But this wasn't enough to appease China. Beijing launched large-scale military exercises around Taiwan, conducting live-fire and anti-submarine drills, and test-firing missiles into the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan said these drills amounted to a blockade, and China has continued to ramp up its military pressure on the island nation since then.
After that, we've seen an increase in military activity, but not only that, new forms of military activity, further coordination. For example, more vessels, naval vessels, something in tandem with aircraft. And there's already the incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone that occurred in the past, but now it's becoming more complex.
On Wednesday, Pelosi released a statement reflecting on her visit last August. She said, "The response to our visit that I have received from around the world has been very positive. And in the years since, many additional engagements with Taiwan, including visits from members of Congress, from the House and the Senate, and from both parties, have further deepened bilateral ties." The past year has seen Taiwan's relations with the U.S. continue to strengthen. Meanwhile, tensions with China have only gotten worse. And while the visit did set a precedent for future high-level visits from U.S. officials, how much it truly benefited Taiwan is still up for debate. Klein Wang and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
4 people have been injured, with one in a critical condition after a chemical explosion at a missile base in southern Pingtung County. The incident happened on Thursday at a facility of Taiwan's top defense research center, the Zhongshan Institute. Missile chemicals were reportedly been disposed of at the time. It is not yet clear what caused the explosion. Authorities have called for an investigation into the incident. A spokesperson for the institute says the workers involved are currently receiving treatment for their injuries.
现场既有4员作业人员身体分别受到30%至80%的烧烫伤，已立即送往屏东南门基督教及旅游等医院做初步清创。
In the event of a natural disaster or war, being able to communicate is a matter of life or death. That's why Taiwan has been trying to secure satellite internet capability. Bryn Thomas has the latest.
Taiwan's access to the global internet currently relies on 14 undersea cables. Earlier this year, 2 of these cables were cut by Chinese fishing vessels. These incidents highlighted a clear weakness in the country's national security. And when Russia invaded Ukraine in early 2022, one of Moscow's first targets was Kyiv's communication infrastructure. The war in Ukraine has underscored the need for a robust satellite internet infrastructure around Taiwan. Such a system uses a network of low-orbit satellites to provide service across a wide area. It's more reliable and robust than cable-based systems, and importantly for Taiwan, it's less vulnerable to natural disasters and attack.
它一端在天上嘛，比较难破坏。对。另外一端呢，它是一个小的蝶形天线，很容易移动。我们明年大概就会在全台湾大概700多个点都会有这样的碟子。我们有跟一家叫做 OneWeb 来谈，那他就告诉我说，到了年底，全台湾都可以收得到他们的讯号。
The UK-based OneWeb was not Taiwan's first choice. Like Ukraine, Taiwan had originally wanted to work with Starlink, the world's largest satellite internet provider, and a company headed by Elon Musk. But Musk reportedly asked for full control of the satellites, and the businessman's other interests, such as Tesla, rely strongly on China, which claims Taiwan as its own territory. These concerns forced Taiwan to look elsewhere and to come up with a multi-company solution. Now, OneWeb and other providers may help Taiwan cast a wider net.
还有另外一家叫做 SES， 除了 Starlink 之外，之后还有 Amazon， 它有一个叫做 Kuiper， 还有 Telesat， 慢慢变成3家、4家、5家、6家。那而且这个没有排挤效应，我的这个卫星的碟子，我可以想办法去收到好多个不同的。
Using this strategy of multiple providers, Taiwan hopes to avoid placing all its security eggs in one satellite basket. Justin Wu and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with images of people trying to break the world record for the longest torta sandwich in Mexico City. I'm Ethan. Take care, and I'll see you next time.